My name is Christina.
My name is Mandy.
Welcome to Zen Zestful. Mandy,
Christina.
what are we discussing today?
Dead people.
Yeah, death. Let's keep it light. But in all seriousness, we are actually talking about death today, and grief.
Why?
Because it's not talked about enough.
So let's background. Why are we talking about it?
So we were talking this morning about when I was teaching yoga teacher training yesterday. And there was a really interesting comment that was made to me. I was explaining Shavasana, and somebody had seen in the textbook that Shavasana is translated as corpse pose. And it really took her back. She's like, oh my God, I had no idea. And like,
Is she new to yoga?
I don't know. I had never taught her before. I don't think so. As a yoga teacher trainee, though, you're learning all of this new stuff that you've never been exposed to before. And I was surprised just because I had heard of corpse pose when I was starting my practice. It's obviously no shame to her, but I was just really interested that took her by surprise so much, because in my mind, Shavasana and corpse pose are so one and the same. Like they are, but like I had never heard somebody react to corpse pose and sorry, I should explain. The reason she reacted was because she was surprised and like taken aback and kind of like icked out.
But the word shove in Sanskrit, in Hindi, in ancient India, shove is corpse.
Yes.
What else do you want me to call it?
But
You're still like a corpse.
100%.
Corpse is, I don't know anything that's more still than a corpse.
You and me both, man.
So what do you want us to call it?
I know,
To
but
save your feelings.
Yeah, well, and so it was really interesting to me because it made me start thinking about how people in Western culture are very don't enjoy, do not participate in talking about death or dying.
It's very taboo to talk
It's very taboo. Yeah, so to me it was really interesting because I thought, in the yoga world, it's such a part of the whole process. But yeah, not everybody knows that. I can respect that. But then just to have like I don't want to say visceral reaction, that's probably a little bit dramatic, but to have that kind of reaction where she's like, oh, I would never say that to anybody. I would never like say corpse pose in my class. And again, absolutely no shame.
Does it feel nice?
Because it doesn't feel nice. She's like, what if people, and one of her points was like, what if people are going through a death right now, and then, somebody's...
It's a great place to be.
And in my head, I was like, I love Shavasana when I was going through grief, because you're resting there and just kind of being with yourself in a time where your mind is racing. But it was really fascinating to me, and it really made me think a lot of different things and gave me a perspective on something that I had never considered before.
There's also raises another question. Why, to what extent do you coddle people that are going through grief? If grief is a natural part of our existence, if you love someone at some point in your life, you are going to grieve their absence, whether it's through a breakup or whether it's through death or any kind of loss. Why do we have to tiptoe around you grieving?
Yeah. And I think, well, I mean, we can get into, it's harsh, but no, we can get into the whole grief thing now too. But I remember when my mom passed away, people very much so tiptoed around me, and it was fucking annoying because I hated not being acknowledged that I was going through this terrible, awful thing. And of course, like at first, people are like, oh, I'm sorry. Like most people. Others just chose not to talk to me for months, and I'm not friends with those people anymore.
I'm sorry, I thought you were a lesbian.
Thank you. Did you at that time though?
That was September.
Oh, too. Yeah, you did.
I didn't even know.
Oh, this poor grieving lesbian.
I didn't even know your mom died. But I did. Yeah, I think you had just come back from.
I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, my timeline is really weird with all of that stuff.
Brain naturally does. I think when we are going through anything traumatic, your memory is skewed naturally because there's so much going on.
100%.
But to your point, when somebody is going through, whether it's grief, whether it's through like any hardship someone is going through, it's fascinating to me that people in your external reality are the ones that are more uncomfortable at your discomfort because they don't know how to react to it's almost like we've lost the art or the ability to console and comfort another human that's going through what is one of the most traumatic events of their life.
And also a universal experience.
Right.
Because even, I mean, we're in our 30s now. I've dealt with family members passing away from a young age. So, and other various traumatic events. But I have always felt like I've gone through shit. But I know of people too who, like, it's not until really now in their lives where they're starting to lose like grandparents or whatever, and now they're experiencing heavy grief for the first time. And I just remember growing up, there's some people around me who just, perceived they had this nice fluffy life because they hadn't experienced any real loss before. And that was hard too. And now I feel like the playing field is a little bit more even as we get older.
I actually had a friend who he lost his mom. Have a friend who lost his mom, I guess late 30s, like last year. Mm-hmm. That was the first time he's ever been through something hard like that. So when you haven't been through anything in your life to test you because we all have different cards that are dealt to us, right? Yeah. Through childhood. So if that is your first time experiencing grief or emotional discomfort to that extent, how would you know how to comfort anybody prior to that? You've never experienced, that saying, you can only meet people as deep as you've met yourself. Oh, yeah. So if you've never had to meet yourself at rock bottom, how do you know how to console someone else who's going through like this phase of darkness in their life? Totally. But when you lost your mom, it wasn't like you knew months or weeks or days in advance that you were going to lose your mom. Totally. It always, most of the time, for most people, when they lose a loved one, it's a shock. Yeah. So not only are you processing the fact that this person who's such a visceral part of my life is gone, could I have gotten a heads up?
You know what? I see it as both a blessing and a curse. So for those that don't know, my mom passed away very suddenly. It was basically from first hospital visit to a month later that she passed. So I had like a month's notice of like things not going well. And it wasn't like initially that first hospital visit was like, oh, she's going to die. It was just like, oh shit, this is really not looking good, but we'll see what happens. And then things were just like moving at such a rapid pace that like there was one point in time, it's like, oh yeah, well, maybe we can have like a home care set up and then she can, pass away peacefully at home. But then literally the next day it's like, oh no, things are progressing so fast that like, that doesn't even make sense. She's going to pass away like within days. Like it was just like so rapid fire. That being said, I do think that was a bit of a blessing because I know she would not have wanted to suffer. And yeah, obviously it was a shock in every regard. But
was this before you told her to meditate her way out?
Oh my God. No, obviously I wouldn't have. No.
Sorry.
Yes. Dark humor.
We, for those who are listening and don't know us, we cope through everything in our life with very dark and twisted humor.
So dark. Yeah. No, yes. Because initially, without getting into too many details, my mom was having issues breathing. So I thought, due to some other things going on at the time, that maybe she needed to chill out. And I'm like, oh, I can teach you pranayama, breathing methods. And then I was like, oh, fuck, this is not going to do anything.
Fuck, you can't breathe your way out of cancer.
You really can't. You really can't. But yeah,
she's proud of us.
You know what? Absolutely. And yeah, she'd be laughing alongside this. But yeah, no, I'm actually really grateful for how everything happened. Yeah. Because I know it would have been so much worse for everybody had things really been dragged out. And my mom, most of all, like she never, even like years ago, she's always like, if I'm ever a vegetable, you cut that fucking machine off.
Well, because you're not, like, I think this is true for a lot of people who have a zest for living. Yeah. Where life is meant to be lived and it's meant to be enjoyed with the people around us. So if I'm going through something, and I totally relate to what you just said, if I'm going through something where it's going to be long term that I'm going to be quote unquote a vegetable, I'm not living. And not only that, I'm now sucking the life force out of everyone around me because you're never going to be like, if I'm the mother and I have a child and I am now a vegetable.
It's a dramatic statement.
My kid is never going to be 100% fully present in their life because in the back of their head, 24/7, it's, I got to get home to take care of my mom. I got to go do X, Y, Z. I got to go here, here, and here. And then I got to get to the hospital to take care of my mom.
Yeah.
So everybody around you is now running around the clock, focused on you. And this could go on for months or years or decades.
Yeah.
And I'm not even living. I'm just there.
Exactly.
What is the purpose of that existence?
Yeah.
And that's a whole, like, we can get into the pro-life, all that, like euthanasia, all that. That's
yeah.
whole other
It's a
conversation.
whole
I'm
other
not dealing with those people right now. But I totally relate to if it is my time to go.
Yeah.
Just let me go.
Totally. And my mom was so accepting of that.
Yeah.
And like, it's gonna make me emotional, but it was really beautiful to see that.
Yeah. You can cry.
Thank you.
I can edit it out.
It's fine. Crying is fine.
Yeah.
No, but like, it was like one of the most powerful experiences to like see her be so accepting of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, that was like.
But that's a life well lived. Yes. You know, when you're living your life to the fullest, when
no, normalize crying. It's important, but that's exactly it. You're living your life to the fullest.
When you are okay. You are okay with going when it's your time to go, because there's no regret of, did I do enough? It's, I've loved enough, I've done enough, I've experienced everything I am meant to. There's always more that you can, but I'm okay when it's my time to go. I'm okay, and I have done my part in this existence. And just going back to, you know, our culture's sort of fear and tiptoeing around these conversations. And the holidays is the best time to really talk about it, because so many people, you know, that have lost their loved ones, that, you know, either around the holidays, or it's their first time without, you know, their husband, their wife, their mom, their dad, their child, and all these like memories that like are just bygones, or moments that they haven't had. There's something about December.
Yeah, even if you're not Christian, celebrating Christmas or anything.
It's something like, about December and the year. The year is coming to an end and a new year is beginning, and here goes another year without that person. Yeah. And you reflect back on your year. Like, I look back at the last 12 months of my life. Like last year during Christmas was when, you know, like pretty much November to December 29th, was dealing with my grandfather dying.
Yeah. And which is hard enough, let alone like, of course, it's Christmas holiday time.
Well, I remember, so like for those that don't know, I didn't have a dad. My grandfather raised me. Yeah. And he raised me since I was 9 years old. And actually, even before that, like they would just dump me at my grandparents' house. And so this man was my father figure. And we had a very interesting dynamic, because he was never like strict on me the way a father would be, because it was like that grandfatherly love. So I had this insane amount of freedom, but also this fear of disappointing him, because I knew how much he had gone through in his life to get us as a family to where we are. And this was a man that was just like stubborn and athletic as all fuck. Like he was, till his final year, like he was hell-bent on getting better so he could go back to riding his bike and going for walks and doing yoga. Right. I remember on Christmas Eve, it was December 24th, and I will never forget this moment. And by this point, we're in the hospital, and he was in palliative care, and I knew it was like a matter of weeks because he had stopped eating. He wasn't able to walk. He couldn't care for himself. And he's looking at me, and it's that state when you almost become delusional, because you really don't know what's going on, but you're still aware that you're alive. Yeah. And he was like, oh, so if these guys can't figure out what's going on with me right now, maybe we should go to like a naturopath or something. And I was like, we're not going to a naturopath. And he's like, well, then what the fuck are we doing here? And I was like, well, they're taking care of you. Cause I got to a point, I burnt out, like my mom and I yeah, we had burnt out all our sick time. My vacation banks were empty. And at work, like I was so grateful that I worked with people who were like taking care of things at work so I could like deal with this, right? And I was like, we can't take care of you at home. And he's like, so when am I coming home? And I just remember like the way my heart sank, and nobody was in the room with me. And like there was other patients like dying, but like I just remember looking him in the eyes, and for the first time in my life having to tell a man who's like 87 years old, like, you can't come home. And it was like something paused in that moment, and he just looked at me and he was like, oh. And so that was December 24th. And I had to get the fuck out of there because I was going to start bawling my eyes out. And I got out of there. I sat in my car. I'm in the parking lot, and I never cried so much in my car.
I'm going to start crying again.
I know. And I was like, what the fuck? And I couldn't go home. So I went like to my spot on the lake, and I just sat there, and I was like, that was so cruel. Like how, like the fact that I had to look him and say, you can't come home. And then literally like clockwork, within 5 days, he was gone. It's almost like that was like, I look at that like this moment for him to realize like, oh no, it's my time. And he was holding on to something and he couldn't let go. And within like 5 days, within 2 days, really, like his breathing had like changed, and he stopped speaking, and he was gone. And to sit by someone's bedside for those final 48 hours while they're, they're leaving, that some part of them also knows they're leaving, and then they're gone, and then you're just looking at this body, and it's like, okay, well, I still feel like you're here though.
And you and I had the same experience actually, because it was the same when my mom was in the hospital. Everybody got to say their goodbyes. I'm very grateful. We both got that. But then she was in a coma for 5 days before she eventually passed, and you're just sitting there like
just like waiting. Because I'm like, well, if I go home, what if while I'm gone he's gone, and then that final breath no one's here? And I wasn't there for his like my mom was there. So she had come, like they sent us home, and then like we came back the next day, and then my mom came, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the gym. And then my phone rings, and it's my mom, and she's like, he's gone. And I'm like, oh fuck, like why did I leave the hospital? But I just couldn't sit there any longer.
And I don't think it's a bad thing to leave, because I really don't like.
Granted, the hospital's right across the street, like it was literally so I just like ran back over, and I'm like, wow, okay. So and then everything else just took over. But it's one of those experiences where everybody experiences death very differently. And I think losing someone through a car accident or through like, a violent end, or however it may be, hits very differently than having to watch someone go. Because when you're watching them go, there's this helplessness within you of, I wish I could do more for you. And are you scared? Like, you wonder, like, are you scared?
Probably. Like, at least some part of you must be.
But in our Western society, I think there's so much tiptoeing around dying. It's so taboo.
It's and to me, it was very frustrating with everything with my mom, because I warned a friend about this too, who recently lost her father. But everybody at first, when that loved one passes away, is, I don't want to say all over you, because people are still weird about death, but like you'll get the messages, you'll get the cards, the flowers, whatever. There's this acknowledgement that something happened. But I feel like a lot of that is almost it's surface level. Surface level, thank you. That's what I was looking for. And then after the funeral, you don't really hear from anybody. And I did have some friends that were checking in on me, and that was really lovely. But there's people I just didn't hear from again, and I'm like, oh my God, I went through this whole life-changing thing. I know because you messaged me, and then I'm just kind of here now, and you're there, and I'm like, there's no acknowledgement.
So my best friend, she lost her dad when we were 19 years old, and it was like a sudden shock. Like I got a text message from like a guy who was like, hey, like Sonia's dad died. And I'm like, the fuck you talk? Like, which Sonia? Because I just talked to her. And I just remember in that moment, like dropping what I was doing, driving to her house, and obviously all her family was there. And I just remember looking at my best friend and I'm like, this girl's life is about to change overnight and she has no idea how. And at the time, like, we're just 19 years old, right? And you really don't know what to say. And I think watching her grieve showed me that you actually don't need to say anything. Like, the number of times we would just be sitting on her bed in like silence, or she would be like grieving, or we would watch Friends, or we would just be there in their presence, because you don't, like, I'm not gonna sit here and talk you out of your feelings. Nothing that I say is gonna bring your father back. Nothing that I say is going to change your broken heart. The most I can maybe offer is like wisdom on reframing the grief. But the grief I don't think grief ever goes away. And it's been years, like it's been, well over a decade. It doesn't go away.
No, it just changes. And I think exactly what you said is correct. Like, just being there for somebody, you don't have to have this whole soliloquy about how sorry you are or whatever.
How sorry could I be?
Well, yeah, and I hate that phrase, but I also understand how it can be an easy one to say. And like, I've said it to people too before, like, I'm sorry for your loss.
I am sorry.
But I do wish that there was a better way of phrasing that, almost, because yeah, I am sorry. So it is accurate. It is accurate. I just feel like it almost loses its meaning because it's said all the time. But it goes back to what we're saying about Western society not really having a grip or a relationship with death and dying. And I think that's really unfortunate, because it's a part of life.
That's the only thing that quote, the only thing inevitable in your existence is taxes and death.
True.
That's like, if all else fails, you will always have taxes and death. And in First Nations culture, and in Mexico, like, they have the Day of the Dead, right? So like around Halloween, November 1st, 2nd, they have an entire festival around death and those that have passed away, your loved ones, your friends, your family members that have gone to the other side. And it's a celebration about those, like, and there's like a humorous spin on it almost, right? In First Nations culture, there's ritual, there's prayer, there's this whole gathering of community when someone is about to pass to the other side, to care for that individual's mind, body, and soul, because death is seen as the ending of a cycle, not as an ending of a life, because you do go on. There's so many cultures believe in reincarnation, right? So you dying is just the ending of a cycle, and life is coming full circle, and now you're passing on to the other side. And we are going to do everything we can to prepare you to go continue on into that journey. And yeah, you're going to grieve in the process, because within, in yoga we talk about detachment, but let's be real, part of the human condition is attachment to our loved ones. So your grief is coming from your emotional attachment to that person, and that's a very human and normal emotion to experience. If anything, I would be fucking concerned if you feel no grief. like if your parent or someone you love has passed on and you feel nothing and you're numb. Like
sociopath. But no, you make a really
okay?
Probably not. But no, like there's so many cultures that have such a cool relationship with death. And Caitlin Doty, I don't know if I'm saying her last name properly, has a couple of books that I loved reading. I read them years ago. One of them specifically is about different death practices from around the world. And it's so cool. And she herself, she's a mortician, but her whole thing is destigmatizing death. Yeah, so her first book talks about more of her career and like how she got into it, how I remember it anyways. And then the second book is about death practices from around the world. Her whole thing is that in the Western world, we don't have that relationship with death, and it makes it that much scarier. So like for your friend whose mom passed away and he's 39, that would be an even more terrifying experience. And it's probably not an experience where he felt maybe super ready for, or supported by a community who also felt ready for it. I obviously can't speak for him, but I think when we're keeping death out of the conversation, everything just becomes so much more of a thing, and it's frightening, and we can't really see like
it's like your life is falling.
Yeah, but we can't see the beautiful parts of it too, where like a life maybe was well lived, and that's something to celebrate. Or, you know, this terrible thing brought everybody together, and maybe you're reconnecting with people you hadn't.
I also think it depends on the relationship you had with that individual who has passed on.
Yeah.
Because we forget our own mortality.
Yes.
And I don't even know if he listens to, I know he follows. I don't know if he listens to the episode, so I don't know if he'll hear this episode. But when he was talking about this, I realized that from the moment his mom had gotten sick till the moment she had passed, there was almost this denial of what was actually happening, like this attachment to, okay, she's not well, she's going to be fine. She's not, oh, we're going to take her to the hospital, she'll be fine. Right. No, they're going to do this treatment, she's going to be fine. Because, and that's a natural human, I think response, because nobody thinks about, oh, they're sick, they're going to die.
Story.
But it's okay, they're not doing well. We're going to get them treated, and then they're going to be fine, and life is going to go on, because I can't even allow my brain to think about the worst case scenario. What ends up happening, I think, and I could be wrong, is when you go through something that traumatic and you end up actually losing that parent or child or partner, it almost does something to your ability to trust. Now you fall into the other extreme of worst case scenario. Everything is worst case scenario. Now your other parent has the sniffles, worst case scenario. Your other parent needs to get a procedure or something done. Your brain is afraid of losing them, because you've associated the, death with this, holy shit, it's a catastrophe.
Totally.
And it's a catastrophic chapter for sure, because it is an ending of a relation. I don't think the relationship ends, it continues, but that person is gone. You still have to move on through life without them.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I agree with that. Your brain catastrophizes everything, because I had such a good, death experience, I guess, with my mom, with her being very accepting. In my head, I actually had the exact opposite reaction. I was like, oh, one of my worst fears has actually come true. And I'm like, nothing else can touch me at this point. Like,
what's
knock on wood. But that was seriously,
we live
like,
in Toronto, eh? You never know.
You never know. But like, if you were to have asked me prior to everything happening, like, what would be one of the worst things that could possibly happen to you, that would be it. So when that happened, like when my mom passed away and one of my worst fears happened, I was like, oh, okay. So then anything else that happened shortly thereafter, even now, but like to a lesser extent, I was just like, all right, fucking whatever.
For me, my experience around death is so different, because like I'd mentioned before, my grandparents raised me. Mm-hmm. So my grandmother, since I was like 2, as far as I can like recollect my memory, she used to read me bedtime stories, but they were all like spiritual or religious bedtime stories. And then it was super cool, because then she would make me recite the bedtime story to see if I actually comprehended the message behind the story. And then, like I mentioned before, I grew up in a Sikh household. So one of the stories was about our first guru, and he was on this journey and having a conversation with his friend. And I'm 4 years old, eh? So he goes, do you know how far death is? And his friend's like, so it's first guru is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, right? And he's like, do you know how far death is? And he goes, the guy, like, I don't know how far death is, like in a distance. He's like, death is at the tip of your nose. Your next breath is not promised. So your breath comes in, you don't know if it's going to come back out. And I'm 4. So I'm looking at my grandma like, the fuck are you talking about? And she's explaining death to me, and she's like, one day I'm going to die. And I'm like, where are you going to go? And she's like, I'm not going to be here. And I was like, well, where am I going to go? And she's like, well, you'll be fine. Like, I'm just not going to be here. And so she explained the concept of death and what it means. And then the thing she said to me stuck with me. And it actually got me through her funeral. So she died with, she had Alzheimer's. So when she died, it was like a whole thing. But what she had said was, when somebody lives a good life and they live a virtuous life, when they die, it's a blessing, and it means their soul is free and they're going on to what people would consider heaven, or their moksha, or whatever you want to call it, enlightened nirvana, whatever you want to call it. You don't need to cry for that person, because they lived a good life and they are going into the next phase of their soul. When you're crying for somebody, when they live a shitty life, that's when you should cry, because they're probably going to hell.
I like that.
Yo, this woman told me, like, I'm 4, and she's explaining this to me, and I'm like, okay. And then, like, when people would say, like, oh, you have such an old soul, I'm like, you have no idea who raised me. Like, so because she embedded this in my head when I was a 4-year-old, right? And did a really good job, like, making sure I understood it, because I got quizzed on it every night. Yeah. And so anytime anything catastrophic would happen in my life, I'm like, none of this is real. One day we're going to die, and I just have to focus on living a good life. And if I do that when I die, it's going to be fine. Yeah. So when she died, I actually didn't cry. Like, I actually did not cry at her funeral. I was the only one in the family that didn't cry, because she told me, she's like, when I die, you better not cry at my funeral. And I kept that promise. Yeah. And I was like 20 years old when she passed away, 21 or something. And when I was 28, 29 was when I finally broke down and I let it all out. But I kept that in the back of my head, because she's like, if somebody's lived a good life, yeah, you're going to be sad they're gone. But you don't cry for a soul. If anything, you should be happy, because that soul has gone on to the next, phase of their journey, wherever they're meant to go. And they're not repeating a cycle, and they're not going to hell. So what are you grieving, really?
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what? So that makes me think of when I was in India last year. I was talking to you about this earlier. So we all got to go up to a cave in the middle of the jungle. We climbed up this mountain, more like, and our guru took us there. So we were going, and long story short, the guy who lives in the cave, we'll just call him a sage, because I don't know if he, like, Rishi, is it a Rishi? Okay. That's what I thought, but then I doubted myself. So the Rishi that lived there, his guru was the one that, we'll say, founded the cave. Like, he's like, this is the spot to be at. This is where I will meditate and do his thing, right? So he passed away a long time ago, but then he charged the Rishi to be the caretaker of the cave, continue, the work, look after the jungle around, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, we had the opportunity to ask the Rishi questions, and our guru is interpreting, because this guy can't speak English because he lives in a cave in the jungle. Yeah. And so then I asked him, like, how long have you been here for? And he had dreads piled high. I have photos of him.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. And he is like wearing like the loincloth situation. Like
he's checked the fuck out of this world.
Check the fuck out of the world. Yeah. And like,
I want to be where he is.
Totally. And I do think he was legit. There's several reasons I think he's legit. I know India is scammy. I've experienced that too, but I think he's legit.
He wasn't a show and tell Rishi. He's been there for a minute.
He's been there for several minutes. And so when I asked him that, he like basically started talking about how time is a construct, how we see it in our day-to-day lives. He's like, the universe is infinite. Yeah. And that includes time. So he's like, he didn't even say in this moment, that's my phrasing because I'm stuck in my idea of time. But he's like, I've died, I'm alive, I haven't been born, all of these things.
Can I explain this to the people who schedule Teams meetings with me?
You may.
Time is not real.
Time is not real.
I am not showing up at 12 p.m.
Amen. Okay. Amen. And that he would agree. Because time is not real. And that's what he was saying to me. So, and ultimately, he's like, he didn't say, again, my wording, but he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, time doesn't matter. because we're here where we're here, when we're here, but like we're also everywhere. And I think that's different timelines. And I think that's what's really cool about the way that Eastern thought is, because in Eastern thought, you are a part of everything. God is in me, God is in you, God is in the rock outside. Creation, everything is so integrated with each other. Whereas Western world, it's very much like monotheistic. There is one God. We are not of God.
Duality.
There's duality, yeah. That's exactly the word. Not that we're not of God, because that's not correct either, but it's just different.
Yeah.
It's very different how there's duality and non-duality. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So I think in Varanasi you had posted, he wasn't in Varanasi?
No, he was in Rishikesh.
Okay, so
oh my God. Let me tell you about Varanasi. Holy shit.
I just remember you posting videos of candles in the water.
Okay, that was Rishikesh.
Okay.
Candles in the Water was Rishikesh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Varanasi.
Oh my God. I loved Varanasi. For those that are not aware of Varanasi, it's apparently the oldest city in India. Yeah. Thousands of years old. One of. Yeah, I know. Well, if you look at their website, they're like, we're the oldest city in India. But I'm like, I feel like there's also old cities.
I feel like the Upanishads.
Oh my gosh. It's one of the favorite places I've ever been in my entire life. You just go there. And I mean, I'm also a spiritual person, so I'm going to pick up on this stuff. But you go there, you feel it, and it is so strong. And you're just like, wow. You feel... so yeah, for those that don't know, it is a very, I don't know if auspicious is the right place or the right word. It's a very auspicious place to die. And these pyres, and there's this huge ghat. I'm forgetting the name of it now. There's a couple of different ones. There's one that's the main ghat, where all the burning takes place. And it's just a 24/7 operation where people are coming. So the bodies with the grieving families are either carried through the streets, and there are these tiny little narrow streets, because this is old Varanasi where all these, the ghats are, and these pyres are specifically, yeah. So they'll be carrying bodies through the streets, and it's only wide enough for the people carrying the bodies and the body to come through. Yeah, it's like three or four
people and the dead guy. Girl.
Yeah, but it's like two people across basically, plus like what you're carrying. So there's that, or sometimes people will come up with the bodies from the Ganga as well, and it was just the coolest thing to see, like that relationship with death being so close and a part of the process of living. And you have all of these obviously living people who are there to care for the dead. So even when they're burning the bodies, like they're throwing turmeric on the bodies. There's such a process to it, and it's not like showy for the sake of being showy. It's it's ritual. This is how you care for your loved ones. And it was so powerful to just be there and witness that and feel that.
See, and as you're explaining this to me, what's fascinating to me is the contrast to Western culture, where, so when my grandfather passed away, we cremated. But even that entire process, we're allowed to go dress the body, right? And like help, like bathe the body and stuff. And for the men, it's the men go. For the women, it's the women go. And I'm sure it pissed off a lot of people, but I was like, that was like my dad. So I'm going in there, right? Yeah. So I went in there, and it was very surreal feeling, because you're looking at the corpse, right? Yeah. But in Western culture, there's such a disconnect, because the funeral home does everything. They put them in the box. The funeral home is the one that arranges for the grave. Like if you're doing a grave, the body is getting, so it's like it's going down. You don't really have any connection to the actual individual's body itself, because the funeral home takes care of everything. So the feeling of having to carry, let's say it's a parent or a child or a brother or whoever it is that you're carrying on your shoulders while you're walking through a street, knowing where you're headed. Like, I can't imagine what emotions are taking place inside the individual that has to do that. Whereas for us, it's, would show up to the funeral home.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so for my mom's funeral, like she was buried, but we did have pallbearers, which I really wanted to be one, but the coffin was really heavy. So it ended up, I was not, and it's fine.
Depending on which coffin you pick, it's even heavier.
Listen, so we chose it, but it was this like gold, like really fun, like gold. It's not gaudy. I wouldn't go that far, but it's like, it's fun. My sister's like, it's giving ancient Egypt. It's giving tomb vibes. But yeah, you're completely right about the disconnect. The way that it works now too is like, if you're at a funeral home, somebody still has to go in to identify the body before the casket is closed. Yeah. So my dad did that. But yeah, otherwise it was bizarre because when my mom passed away, you just like leave the hospital and then you go home and then you go to the funeral home. But like Varanasi was so cool because you're so integrated in what's going on, and like everybody at the Ghat, like there's all of these different places you can watch the bodies being burned. And of course there's families that are there and there's other people that are there, and it's just this whole crazy thing. Everywhere. Yeah, smoke everywhere, but it doesn't smell.
Well, in India too, they don't, they're not like here where you hold on to the body for several days or even weeks. It's just, oh, you died yesterday, like we're tomorrow. Yeah.
And also, I apologize. I think I said they're throwing turmeric on the bodies. I think it's actually sandalwood. Okay. So I think that actually does kind of help with the smell too. But it was interesting as well with the pyres. There is different levels according to caste.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, because India's very big on their caste system.
So it was funny because some guy. So I was there with a friend, and we obviously stood out. She's this very tall white girl. I'm very white, you know, of course, especially in this like old part where everybody's basically at a funeral, right? So somebody came and he was like showing us, or he was like telling, and of course everybody has everything for money there and it's fine. But he was explaining a lot of the things when we were there, and he's like, oh yeah, it's all according to caste. And I was like, I thought you guys got rid of the caste system. And he's like, oh yeah, we did. But like, it's just
not when you die. When you die, you're still dying at the bottom. Yeah. So it's interesting you say that about the caste system, because in Sikhism, in the eyes of God, we are all one and equal. There is not supposed to be a caste system. Yeah. And what fascinates me is the way. So India is so. It's so multicultural. Like obviously to the white people, they just see brown people and you think they're all the same. But each state, it's a kaleidoscope.
They're basically different countries. Each state is like a country on its own.
And it was until England showed up and was like, you're now India. And it's like, bro, but like you're telling me the guy in Punjab is the same as the guy at the bottom of the country. Like those are two completely different cultures, cuisines. They're similar.
Huge. Like even if you're just looking at the scale of India as a landmass.
Yeah. Like to get from one side to the other, it's like you got to fly. Or you're on a very, very long bus ride or train ride, right? And you might not make it.
Especially on the bus.
No.
You're not going to make it.
But what's fascinating to me about the caste system, because I grew up Sikh and Punjabi, is in my religious script, there's no caste. And then I look at the license plates of all these people and it's like, I'm a farmer, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm from here, I'm from there. And then God forbid you get into a relationship with someone who's not of the same caste. Now, are you looking to get disowned by your family because you got married to the wrong caste? And
seems like the caste is still at play.
And then what fascinates me is like if you go to the temple, if you go to a wedding of two people who are not of the same caste, and the women, and like I've had like insane arguments with family members of mine, including my own mother, about like, you know, two people from two different castes getting married. But you're having this conversation in the temple of the religion that tells you there's no caste. So like, but the fact that it continues on into your death.
Well, that's exactly it, right?
Like you're dead. Can we cut this shit out?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry that my 4 decades of existence, I had to be of this caste, but is the contract not over? Can I not be, do we not like, you know, we all bleed red. Yeah. so the saying, like, we're all buried, we all get the same 6 feet of ground or whatever the dimensions are, right? So when you're setting me on fire, my cast still applies to that part.
See, that was really interesting to me because like death is a unifier, really, no matter how you.
Not in India.
But not in India. One would think that death is a unifier.
They're gonna come after us.
No, it was a really cool experience, and it's funny because
Fascinating.
I love taking pictures, and but I experience things too. I'm not somebody that always has the camera in front of my face, but when I was in Varanasi, I took some pictures and videos, but that day in particular, I looked back at my phone and was like, oh, I didn't take any videos.
You can't. Like your brain, like you're so immersed in that moment.
Exactly. It was like I was in a meditative state the whole day. It was crazy. And I was lucky with the friend I was with because we were both so into experiencing it and being there and just really trying to absorb ourselves in that feeling. And we wandered the streets of Old Varanasi all day. We were sat at the Ghat for a long time. Like, it was like just one of the coolest experiences of my life.
Oh, I would love to go. I have yet to go.
I need to go back.
We'll go back when the prices drop.
Absolutely.
India apparently is very expensive in January and February, so.
It is. Can confirm, I paid $2,200 last year.
I am.
This year. Sorry, it's December now. We're still in 2025.
Yeah, it is, but it fascinates me, this relationship we humans have with death and where yoga falls into all of this, and even just your attitude towards life and how you approach life. When you are constantly afraid of dying, anytime you're having any kind of experience, you hold yourself back. What if I die? What if I get hurt? Skydiving. I don't want to go skydiving. What if I die?
What if you have a beautiful experience instead of
dying
during skydiving?
What if it's like orgasmic,
Who knows, man? But no, I think fear of death, that's a really good point. Fear of death holds people back a lot.
Because it's unknown.
Yes.
And realistically, you listen to people that have had near-death experiences.
I have.
Yeah, well, you have allergies to life.
Yeah, no, and actually, in line with that, this is like a huge story podcast. I love it. I've always had severe anaphylactic allergies. I've had some really bad reactions through my life, but there was one that really
took you to the light.
Took me almost to the light in 2017. And for me, if I ingest something like a glass of milk, milk is one of my allergies. So if I have a glass of milk, it'll be an instant anaphylactic reaction. But if it is cross-contaminated, that's not necessarily true. It's a slow release, exactly. And I've explained this to you before. So when it's a slow release, I've had to train myself to try recognizing these tiny little, almost unnoticeable signs that I'm having an allergic reaction. That is this slow release. Because what I didn't realize during this time was that I didn't realize I was having a severe allergic reaction because of that slow release. And the way that I understand it, I could be so wrong, is oxygen is not getting properly to my brain. But if that's starting to happen over a period of time so slowly, I'm not recognizing what's going on. I can't make decisions. And so I was in Berlin with my sister. I know exactly what I had. I had
Great healthcare, by the way.
I had a great time at the hospital. It was the best hospital I've ever been in my entire life. So
the Germans do know.
They know what's up.
Cars, healthcare, science.
Yep. Indeed. It was 10 out of 10. Yep. And so I had a burger that was allegedly fine, but I think he used the same spatula with cheese and stuff to deal with my burger. And so I just remember during eating it, I had a couple of bites and then I had this feeling. I was like, oh, is something wrong? And then I was like, no, I'm overreacting. And then that kind of feeling went away. And then we leave, we're walking up this hill, and heat exacerbates reactions. And so as we're walking up this hill, it's warm. I was just like, I do not feel right. And we keep walking up this hill, whatever. We get to the top. I'm like, I think I'm having a reaction maybe. And very long story short, we went into this pub. I down a glass of water, and then I go to the bathroom, and my sister comes with me, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I think so. And she's like, should I call an ambulance? And I'm like, no, let's just wait. I was just in this holding pattern in the bathroom where I was in denial, to get back to what you were saying earlier about being in denial. And that happens to me in reactions all the time. And I've really had to train myself to be aware of that. And it's still hard. But I was in denial that anything bad was happening because I'm in the basement of this pub in Germany. And I'm like, no,
this isn't where I'm going to die.
This isn't great. So I started having those thoughts. And this is where it became the worst reaction I've had, because then I started having these thoughts, and it wasn't even a conscious thought. It was just popping in my head. I'm like, I don't want to die. I don't feel like it's my time. I really don't think this is like it for me. And then that actually jerked me into reality. I was like, holy fuck.
I'm going to die.
Oh my God. And then I said to my sisters, I call the ambulance. I had my EpiPen. I took an EpiPen in the basement of this fucking ambulance, got there right away. And then it was a whole fucking thing too, because the German word for EpiPen, I didn't know this, is Anapen. But
why would EpiPen be universal?
I don't know, man. I don't know. And so I had told them, I was like, I took in, and my sister and I can speak German. So I was like, I had an EpiPen, and whatever. And like, it makes your heart rate go up because it's trying to, your everything slows down. And then you take the EpiPen and you're like, adrenaline, right? So then I had that, but then they didn't understand, I guess, because we said EpiPen and not Anapen. Then they gave me another dose of epinephrine, too close to when I'd had my first, because you're supposed to wait 15 minutes in between. So then they were scared of me having a heart attack, because then my heart rate was so fucking out of this world. We're still in the basement of this bar and they can't move me because I have so much epinephrine coursing through my body. They're scared I'm gonna have a heart attack now. I'm like, okay. So eventually, we're able to get out of this pub. I didn't realize the ambulance was on the tram tracks. It's the middle of rush hour. We are holding up Berlin traffic. We go into the back of the ambulance. We go to the fucking hospital, and it was just like, it was crazy. Obviously recovered, here I am. And I just remember leaving the hospital that day, and it was raining. And I was just like, I remember the feeling of the rain on my skin, because I'm like, holy fuck. And thus started a period of time where I had extreme anxiety.
For sure. Yeah. And rightfully so. And for anyone who's never experienced allergic reactions, they don't know that feeling of your throat constricting.
Yeah.
And now, like, I have allergies to shellfish, but it's nothing like that. I don't even carry an EpiPen. So I had done Cambo.
Yes.
So Cambo.
Yes. I would never do Cambo.
You should not do you of all people should not do Cambo. No, but 100%. And I did. And so Cambo, for those that don't know, it's, Google it. That would be an entire episode of its own. But I had done Cambo, and what Cambo does is it forces almost like this allergic reaction within you, and you feel it going through, like it goes through your lymphatic system, and it goes through pretty much your entire body. And so you feel like you're on fire. But when it gets to your throat, it starts to constrict your throat. And just talking about it right now, your face is turning red.
No.
Your face is turning red.
Is it actually? Well, when you were like describing it, like, fire flows through your body, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. So
no.
So I felt like I was burning to death. And
nice.
But you're sitting there, and it's not psychedelic in any way. So you're fully aware, like your brain is fully present for the whole experience, and you're feeling every sensation. And all you can do is breathe through it. But there comes a point where it gets to your throat, and it almost feels like a constriction. Yeah. And it's a sensation of like, oh my God, I can't fucking breathe. And like for me, it lasted like I've done it a couple times now, but every single time I did it, it would be like 30 seconds to a minute of like, oh my God, I can't breathe. And it dries up, tightens up, and you have to breathe through your nose and just focus on like your third eye the entire time. And the panic that sets in, and every single time I've done it, the people that I do it with, like I trust them completely. Like every single time I'm like, is this the one? Am I the 0.1% that just goes? I'm just gonna die. I'm like, my fears every single time I do any of these like friggin' things to like elevate whatever I'm trying to find in my soul is this the one? Am I the anomaly? It's gonna take me out. And it goes right back to that fear of death. And it's, I got a mortgage to pay. That feeling of your throat constricting and not being able to breathe is one of the most scariest feelings, even if it's self-induced.
Because it's a you are having an allergic reaction when you're doing campo. Like
100% you are. Yeah,
and it's like it's indescribable. I think
you can't explain it to someone who's never experienced it.
No.
Fear of death, I think, holds back so many people, and that's where with yoga, it's detaching yourself from those fears and detaching yourself from certain outcomes, and also, fear of the people around you dying, right? Like the fear of losing a parent it's very real, or a husband or a wife, or the child is the scariest one, right? Because you made this person and you're responsible for keeping them alive, and then should anything happen to them, how do you live that one down? Because you're always going to have a level of, what could I have done?
Totally.
Could I have done something different? Was it me? What could I have changed? And a lot of times it just is. Yeah. And that is the hardest pill to swallow, because what do you mean it just is? I'm a good person. Why is this happening to me? But it's not happening to you. It's just, it just is.
Yeah. And to take it back to yoga as well, like Patanjali shows yoga as the tool to cease suffering. Another episode, which will be coming to you shortly, depending on the order that we release these in. But this will be discussed either before or after you hear this episode, probably after. But we should wrap this one up. I know we've been talking about death for a long time, but no, I think fear of death causes a lot of suffering and a lot of not living your life to the fullest. And I'll maybe leave it at that, but I could say a lot more, I think.
And I think what I do want to leave people with is, you are never going to come to a point in your life where your grieving is done.
Agreed.
I think that the grieving comes in waves. I think that there are times where, life, it's peaks and valleys, and wanting that person, that loved one that's passed on in your life, to see a lot of your, milestone moments, that's never going to go away. That void is never going to go away. That loss, the feeling around that loss, it does not go away. So a lot of people try to when does it get better? When does it get better? Just accept it. It gets different.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better because the grief stays, but you learn to not only live with it, but you learn to kind of use it as like a motivator to propel you through life. Like that's what I've like this podcast and everything that I've started to do. I look at my grandfather's life and even my grandmother's, and I'm like, these people went through hell and back, somehow survived. I am here as a byproduct of whatever their journeys were. It's on me to continue carrying that legacy to the best of my ability and even make it better than they could have ever imagined. And wherever they are, I do believe that people, depending on who they are, like, oh, once you're dead, you're gone. They're not here with us. No, they're fucking like, the lights are flickering.
Probably.
No, I think that they are, when you feel a presence and they are with us.
Agreed.
And there's comfort in that. And I hope that whoever is going through grief this season finds comfort in the fact that there's a lot of people that are feeling exactly the same way you are feeling, and we should be able to talk about these things and celebrate the lives of the people that we have lost, versus creating a victim mindset in our minds of, woe is me, I've lost this person, and now the next decade of my life is just going to be put on hold because I've lost this person. And I think we should, as a society, and we probably won't because we live in Canada, but we should as a society be okay with talking about death. And it should be something that, depending on your culture, right? There's death doulas. Like there's people that help you prepare for this, and there's a reason for that. So I do think that as a society, we should come back to some of these practices that we have forgotten about, I would say, in the last 100 years.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with literally everything you just said. I think as well, like maybe another call to action for this episode is, if you know of somebody who is going through a hard time, maybe
just go hang out on their couch.
Just go be with them. Yeah. Or even if, I don't know, be it grief of like a relationship, death, whatever. Just be there for them. Send them a message. You don't even have to bring up necessarily. I mean, you'll know your friend better than I do, but maybe you don't even have to bring up whatever it is that's causing them pain. But yeah, people need presence. So that would be my call to action. I'd say, like, go be with your people. Yeah.
Well, if you found value in this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye.